Recently, I flew to the Virgin Islands with only 2 cameras in my bag. The Canon R6 III and the Sony ZV-E10 II. Kind of a strange combination, right? We'll talk about the Sony in a different video. Today we're focusing on the R6 III and this mini doc that I shot while I was overseas for a boating company. It was super fun and I got a ton of footage while I was in the Virgin Islands for 2 weeks on this shoot/family trip. My goal today is to just show you what the R6 III can do, mostly from a filmmaking perspective, while not wasting your time. TLDR, this is a phenomenal camera, very enjoyable to use, beautiful images, as most cameras create nowadays, so just go make stuff. Anyway, this video is sponsored by Professional Photographers of America. More on them here in a second. Okay, so first of all, this video has nothing to do with Canon. I got this R6 III and a 24-70 on loan from my homies at Robert's Camera and Indy's Rental House. Shout out to them. If you want to get any camera gear or rent stuff, go check those guys out. They're amazing. Which means I don't have to filter what I say about these brands, so let's get into it. And since I was in the Virgin Islands, which were freaking gorgeous, for 2 weeks, I really got to put the R6 III through its paces, specifically just getting a ton of footage and testing this sensor out, and I have some thoughts. Let's start with the pros, the goods. First of all, the body feels amazing to hold. It harkens back to those chunky DSLRs of old, and I just love it. I actually started my business 10 years ago on Canon cameras, the T5i, then the 70D and the 7D. And yeah, holding a chunky Canon just feels good. I think if I could choose for video specifically, I would prefer the C50 or FX3 style bodies that we're starting to see from these brands. But at the same time, going overseas and filming dock work on a boat, was so nice to use a hybrid style body because of the EVF. A lot of these video bodies don't have viewfinders, except the FX2, but having the EVF on this shoot was amazing because the conditions were extremely bright in the middle of the day, on the ocean, on a white boat that reflects tons of light. It was critical to have a viewfinder because the screen doesn't get that bright and it's still pretty small. And plus, I know the R6 III is a hybrid camera. It's not marketed as a video only camera, even though the video specs are freaking ridiculous. So yeah, I understand this is a mirrorless hybrid body, and in this situation, it worked in my favor. But let's talk about the image specifically in video. This is a 7K full frame open gate sensor, and it is just freaking magnificent. I know this is unbelievably cliche to say, but Canon colors, they were on full display here. And I've said those words before, Canon colors, I've heard other people say it, but I feel like the R6 III is where it actually clicked with me. Specifically, when I put the footage in Resolve, color space transformed from C-Log 2 to DaVinci wide gamut, just seeing all of that information and how natural the colors look in the skin tones, the natural gradients in the orange to reds, and there's tons of room to manipulate this footage and stylize it the way you want it. But what's amazing is I really didn't have to do much with skin tones, with colors in general. They look really nice, and when they look that good out of a camera, I don't want to push them too much because they already look nice. And I go for more of a natural look anyway with a little sauce on top. And the R6 III just absolutely delivers in terms of image quality. There is a little caveat to that, but we'll talk about that in the cons section. I shot everything in C-Log 2, which will give you the most dynamic range, the most flexibility. Everything looked absolutely phenomenal. And there actually is an option to shoot in RAW on this camera as well, 7K RAW. On a relatively affordable mirrorless hybrid is just, what else do we need? It's freaking insane. And thankfully you can still shoot in open gate without shooting in RAW, which just gives you even more flexibility with this camera. I could just see this being like somebody's dream hybrid camera for photo, video, social media, filmmaking. It really can do everything very well. And this camera can shoot 4K up to 120 frames per second, full sensor, and yeah, pretty amazing options. And for me, this was perfect because I'm sending this boating company multiple different deliverables. I'm sending them like a string of all the B-roll that I captured, so I'm leaving that in OpenGate and sending that off to them. Same with the 2 interviews that I did of the boat captains, just leaving it in OpenGate, but I already graded it so I can send that off to them. But for slow motion stuff, I was able to shoot in 16:9 or 17:9 with those higher 4K frame rates. Still looks amazing. And then lastly, I'm making like a 30-second to 1-minute social cut for them. And because I shot mostly in OpenGate, I'll have plenty of reframability, which is just awesome that I get all those options in a relatively affordable package. For lenses, I kept it plain, simple, and pretty boring. I had an RF 24-70, also loaned to me by Roberts, And yeah, it's a boring focal length, but it gets everything done very well. The not boring thing is I got access to the lens stabilization in tandem with the IBIS in this camera, and the shots were extremely smooth. I was shooting mostly handheld on this boat, so having as much quality stabilization as possible was great, and I didn't really notice too many like weird wobbles or anything. They're doing a good job with the lens stabilization there. I honestly don't know how good the IBIS is just without the built-in lens stabilization, so don't refer to me for those tests. But overall, this combination, 2470 RF with the R6 III, holy crap, the footage is glorious and steady. Also, the autofocus kind of rocked my socks with this camera. I forget how freaking good Canon is, because I feel like we always talk about Sony with autofocus now. Man, the subject detection mode is so good on this camera. I was filming birds, chickens, people, cars, boats, and I just had it in auto subject detect mode because it does such a good job at finding the subject and choosing for you, and you don't have to go into the menus and switch when there's a new subject coming into frame. It just does a good job most of the time. And even in 4K 120, subject detection was locked in and I had no worries. And I guess the last big pro I want to mention is the price, because I want to put this in terms of when I originally started, I wanted the 5D3 so bad, but it was so incredibly expensive when it came out, and I was at the beginning of my career. I could not afford that camera, which is why I originally went from Canon to Lumix with the GH4 and 5. They had the great feature set that they offered plus a lower price tag. What's wild is this Canon R6 III, which in all aspects pretty much obliterates the 5D3. Maybe not in photography, but it's so incredibly good, and it's cheaper than what the 5D3 was when it came out. And if those two cameras came out at the same time, we would think that alien technology was visiting Earth in the R6 III. It's so freaking good for the price. And the great thing about traveling with the R6 III is that I don't have to worry if I drop it in the ocean or something, because I have PPA, which gives me up to $15,000 of gear, equipment, insurance. It's freaking phenomenal. If you have a PPA membership, top link in the description, you get that incredible insurance policy, which also applies to camera rentals and gear rentals. It can be your collateral for that, but also you get access to so much more. The PPA website is just like an entire platform now. There's education, there's templates to make your own rate cards, contracts, there's business resources that will actually teach you how to run a successful photo or video company. And what I've been trying to stress to people is PPA, even though it's called professional photographers, it's also incredible for filmmakers, for the gear, equipment, insurance, but also the information on how to build your business. Plus, they have the biggest camera convention in the United States every year, which is called Imaging USA. I've been there the past few years and it's been an absolute blast. So if you want to transform your business and actually become a professional, check out PPA at the top link in the description. Use my link to get a discount on your membership. Really appreciate you guys for watching and supporting PPA. Thanks for the sponsorship. Okay, so now we're moving on to the cons, and there's not a lot to go over here if I'm being honest. The one thing that actually bummed me out was the overall image quality of the 4K 120. Yes, it's amazing that you get that higher frame rate and it's full sensor, no crop, but I did notice that it's actually pretty soft in comparison to the 4K up to 60 frames per second. And this is a similar issue I had with the C80. I took that camera to a rap festival last summer and shot a lot of 4K 120. Got back, put it on my computer, and I was like, oh, this does not look as good as the lower frame rate stuff. I wish I would have tested it before this trip, because I would have shot less at 120 frames per second. Is this something I'm doing wrong? Maybe if you guys are Canon shooters or you've tested this on your C80 or R6 III or C50, please let me know if I'm doing something wrong. But I do wish, like the C80 and C70, that when you clicked into video mode, I wish it went into the cinema menus. I think that would be awesome, but I get that this is like a mirrorless hybrid, so it's not that big a deal in the grand scheme. Overall, the Canon R6 III is bonkers good. I can see this being a beginner's dream camera, a pro hybrid shooter's workhorse, or an insane B, C, D camera for somebody who's fully in the Canon ecosystem in filmmaking, like if you have a big cinema camera from Canon, or a C50 and you just need an extra camera that also has a viewfinder and can do great photos plus insane video, and that's just another reason it's so valuable. So yeah, Canon, good job on this one. Man, it makes me excited to test the C50. I really want to get my hands on that camera. I'm just waiting for Roberts to get one so they can loan it to me for a while to shoot some projects, but really appreciate you guys for watching this video. Make sure to text me when you get home so I know you're safe, and watch out for deer. Shout out to my patrons and YouTube members for the continued support over there, and remember that you guys are loved much more than you might even know. All right, God bless you and your families, and we'll talk to you soon.